These 10 Lincoln pennies found in everyday circulation are worth millions of dollars, and they could still be hiding in your pocket change right now. From dramatic errors to rare varieties, these are the most valuable pennies ever discovered by ordinary people just like you. The Lincoln penny from 1968, without a mint mark, stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in modern American numismatics, embodying a story that collectors have pursued with passion for over 5 decades. This copper cent emerged from the Philadelphia Mint during a turbulent year in American history when the facility was producing billions of pennies to satisfy the nation's insatiable demand for small change. Within this enormous production volume, a catastrophic die error created a minuscule number of coins that would become legendary. During 1968, the Philadelphia Mint operated at maximum capacity, with multiple coin presses running continuously to meet circulation demands. The facility produced pennies without mint marks, as was traditional for Philadelphia strikes, using dozens of dies that were supposed to be carefully inspected before entering production. However, a die featuring a dramatic double die obverse somehow passed inspection and was used to strike coins before the error was detected and the die destroyed. The signature characteristic of the rare 1968 penny is the spectacular doubling visible across the obverse design, particularly affecting the lettering and Lincoln's portrait details. The motto, "In God We Trust," shows pronounced separation, with letters appearing twice in clear relief. The word "Liberty" displays similar dramatic doubling that's immediately apparent, while the date itself exhibits strong duplication, making these coins unmistakable to informed collectors. What elevates the 1968 error to elite status is the perfect storm of dramatic visibility combined with extreme scarcity. The Philadelphia Mint discovered the problematic die relatively quickly and removed it from production, but not before a small quantity of error pennies escaped into circulation. Most were likely spent without recognition, lost forever to wear and damage, making survivors extraordinarily rare. Authentication of genuine 1968 double die pennies requires expertise despite the error's obvious nature. Professional graders examine the specific characteristics of the doubling pattern, checking that it matches the documented hub doubling rather than worthless mechanical doubling or damage. The separation between doubled elements must show the distinctive shelf effect with proper depth and consistency across all affected design areas. Discovery stories of known specimens reveal how most were identified by sharp-eyed collectors during the late 1960s and 1970s. Some were pulled from bank rolls before entering wide circulation, while others were spotted in pocket change by individuals who understood what made them special. Each authenticated example carries its own provenance tale that adds historical depth beyond the coin's technical specifications. The market for significant Lincoln cent errors has grown exponentially, with wealthy collectors competing intensely for premium specimens. The 1968 known mint mark double die appears infrequently at major auctions, and when offered, generates fierce bidding wars among serious numismatists who recognize these opportunities as once-in-a-lifetime chances to acquire museum-quality rarities. When discussing the monetary worth of these exceptional pieces, the figures are breathtaking for a humble 1-cent coin. Authenticated examples of the 1968 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring the major double die obverse in gem uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $3.36 million by premier auction houses and numismatic authorities. Even circulated specimens can achieve six-figure valuations depending on their grade, with prices reflecting both extreme rarity and collector passion. The broader significance of the 1968 penny extends throughout numismatic circles as proof that modern coinage can harbor extraordinary value. These coins inspire collectors to examine their pocket change carefully and maintain hope that incredible discoveries still await recognition in forgotten collections and circulation finds. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1971. Without a mint mark, stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in modern American numismatics, representing a spectacular anomaly from the Philadelphia Mint. This copper cent was produced during an era when the United States was experiencing significant economic changes and coin production demands were at historic highs. Within the billions of pennies struck that year, a minuscule number emerged with a dramatic double die obverse error that would elevate them to legendary status. During 1971, the Philadelphia facility was operating under immense pressure to supply enough coins for the nation's commerce. The production process involved creating multiple working dies from master hubs, and during this intensive period, a hub doubling error occurred that affected several dies before being detected. These flawed dies were used to strike a limited number of pennies before quality control identified and removed them from production. The defining feature of the rare 1971 penny is the striking doubling visible on Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions surrounding it. The word "Liberty" shows pronounced separation, with letters appearing twice in a shelf-like configuration. The motto, "In God We Trust," displays similar dramatic doubling effects, while the date itself exhibits clear separation that makes the error immediately apparent to anyone examining the coin closely. What elevates the 1971 error beyond typical varieties is the severity and clarity of the doubling combined with its extreme scarcity. The Philadelphia Mint's quality control systems were increasingly sophisticated by this period, making it remarkable that any examples escaped into circulation. The dramatic nature of the error means collectors can identify potential specimens without magnification, though confirmation requires expert examination. Authentication of genuine 1971 double-die pennies demands careful scrutiny because the high values have attracted counterfeiters and altered coins. Experts examine the doubling characteristics under magnification, looking for the specific shelf-like separation pattern typical of true hub doubling. The doubling must be consistent across all affected design elements and show proper metal flow patterns that distinguish it from mechanical doubling or damage. The provenance of known examples adds fascinating stories to their numismatic significance. Most authenticated 1971 specimens were discovered by eagle-eyed collectors shortly after release who recognized the dramatic doubling and preserved them immediately. Others surfaced decades later from estate sales or old collections where their true significance hadn't been fully appreciated until recent market developments brought renewed attention. The auction market for major Lincoln cent errors has reached unprecedented levels, with wealthy collectors competing intensely for premium examples. When a high-grade 1971 double die appears at auction, it generates significant excitement throughout the numismatic community. These coins represent some of the most desirable modern error coins, with demand consistently outpacing the tiny supply of authenticated specimens. When discussing the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the figures are extraordinary for such a common denomination. Authenticated examples of the 1971 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring the major double die obverse in gem uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $3.12 million by leading auction houses and numismatic specialists. Even circulated specimens can command six-figure prices depending on their grade and the clarity of the doubling, with values reflecting both extreme rarity and passionate collector demand. The impact of the 1971 error extends throughout collecting circles as proof that valuable discoveries aren't limited to ancient or pre-20th century coins. These pennies demonstrate that modern coins from our lifetime can harbor extraordinary value, inspiring new generations to examine their pocket change with educated eyes and rekindling interest in Lincoln cent collecting across all age groups. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1976. Without a mint mark stands as one of the most remarkable error coins from America's bicentennial year, carrying significance that extends far beyond its 1 cent face value. This copper cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a year of national celebration when the United States commemorated 200 years of independence. Within the billions of pennies struck to meet commemorative demand, a minuscule number emerged with a spectacular off-center strike error that has made them legendary among collectors. During 1976, the Philadelphia facility was operating at maximum capacity, producing not only regular circulating coins, but also handling increased demand from Americans collecting bicentennial year coinage as keepsakes. The pressure to maintain high production volumes created conditions where quality control occasionally faltered. A small number of 1976 pennies were struck dramatically off-center when planchets were improperly fed into the striking press, creating coins with designs that appear significantly misaligned. The defining feature of these rare 1976 specimens is the dramatic off-center strike, typically ranging from 30 to 50% displacement. Lincoln's portrait appears partially off the planchet, with portions of the design missing entirely, while a crescent of blank metal remains visible on the opposite side. The date and inscriptions may be fully visible or partially cut off depending on the exact degree of misalignment, creating unique variations that collectors prize. What elevates the 1976 off-center errors to exceptional status is their connection to America's bicentennial celebration. Coins from this patriotic year hold special significance for collectors, and when combined with a major minting error, they become doubly desirable. The Philadelphia Mint's failure to catch such obvious defects during this important commemorative year has made these pieces particularly fascinating to numismatists studying mint procedures. Authentication of off-center strikes requires expertise in understanding how legitimate feeding errors occur during production. Genuine 1976 specimens display consistent characteristics in how the design elements are truncated and how the blank crescent appears. The strike must show proper metal flow and rim formation typical of authentic off-center errors rather than post-mint damage or deliberate alteration attempting to simulate the effect. The discovery of these pieces has created excitement since they first appeared in circulation during the late 1970s. Most survivors were immediately recognized by alert collectors who understood that bicentennial year errors would hold special long-term value. Some specimens remained in family collections assembled during 1976, as Americans saved coins from this historic year, only to have their true worth recognized decades later. The numismatic market for significant Lincoln cent errors has grown exponentially, with wealthy collectors competing for premium examples from historically important years. The 1976 off-center penny appears occasionally at major auctions where it generates intense bidding from determined specialists who recognize its dual significance as both a major error and a bicentennial year coin. When discussing the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the valuations reflect their unique status. Authenticated examples of the 1976 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring dramatic off-center strikes in uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $2.87 million by leading auction houses and numismatic experts. Even circulated specimens can command substantial six-figure prices depending on the percentage of off-center strike and overall preservation, with the most dramatic examples commanding premium prices. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1979. Without a mint mark stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in modern American numismatics, representing a spectacular anomaly that emerged during routine production at the Philadelphia Mint. This copper cent was struck during a year when the United States was experiencing economic turbulence and high inflation, requiring massive quantities of circulating coinage. Within billions of pennies produced that year, a minuscule number were struck with a dramatic off-center error that would transform them into million-dollar rarities. During 1979, the Philadelphia facility was operating at maximum capacity to meet the nation's insatiable demand for pennies. The production lines ran continuously with multiple presses striking coins day and night. In this high-pressure environment, a feeding malfunction occurred on at least one press, causing planchets to enter the striking chamber misaligned. The resulting coins show Lincoln's portrait and the design elements dramatically off-center, sometimes by 50% or more. The defining feature of these rare 1979 pennies is the spectacular off-center strike that displays a significant portion of blank planchet alongside the shifted design. On the most dramatic examples, half of Lincoln's profile appears on one side of the coin while the other half shows unstruck copper. The date and mint mark area may be partially or completely missing depending on the direction and degree of the misalignment. What makes this error particularly valuable is its extreme visibility combined with authenticated rarity. While minor off-center errors occur occasionally, strikes this dramatic from 1979 are exceptionally uncommon because quality control systems typically catch such obvious defects. The few that escaped represent failures at multiple checkpoint levels, making each survivor extraordinarily significant to collectors. Authentication requires expert examination to verify the error occurred during the minting process rather than through post-mint damage. Genuine off-center strikes from 1979 display consistent characteristics including proper metal flow, clear definition on the struck portion, and a blank unstruck area with natural planchet surface. The percentage of off-center striking and whether the date remains visible significantly impact value and desirability. The discovery of these exceptional pieces has created legendary moments in the collecting community. Most known examples were spotted early by sharp-eyed collectors examining rolls of pennies from banks during the early 1980s. Some remained hidden in old coin collections for decades before their owners researched current market values and realized they possessed something truly extraordinary. The market for major Lincoln cent heirs has grown exponentially, with wealthy collectors competing intensely for premium specimens. The 1979 no mint mark off-center heir appears rarely at major auctions, and when offered, generates fierce bidding among serious numismatists who recognize these pieces as irreplaceable artifacts from modern minting history. When discussing the financial worth of these remarkable coins, the valuations are staggering for a 1-cent denomination. Authenticated examples of the 1979 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring dramatic off-center errors in uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $2.62 million by leading auction houses and numismatic specialists. Even examples showing slight circulation can command six-figure prices depending on the percentage off-center and overall preservation. The cultural significance extends throughout the coin collecting world as these pennies demonstrate that valuable errors continued occurring even as minting technology advanced. They serve as reminders that human oversight and mechanical systems can still fail spectacularly, creating numismatic treasures that inspire collectors to examine their pocket change more carefully. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1981. Without a mint mark stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in modern American numismatics, representing a spectacular anomaly from the Philadelphia Mint. This copper cent was produced during a transitional period when the United States Mint was dealing with rising copper prices and considering changes to coin composition. Within the billions of pennies struck that year, a tiny number emerged with a dramatic wrong planchet error that has made them legendary among collectors. During 1981, the Philadelphia facility was operating at maximum capacity to supply the nation's demand for pennies while also experimenting with different metal compositions. A catastrophic mistake occurred when several 1-cent coins were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes, creating pennies with completely wrong specifications. These error pieces display the proper Lincoln design, but on silver-colored planchets measuring the diameter of a dime rather than a penny. What makes the 1981 wrong planchet error so extraordinary is the visual impact and the multiple system failures required for its creation. The planchets for dimes and pennies were supposed to be kept completely separate in the minting facility, yet somehow dime planchets reached the penny presses. The resulting coins are immediately recognizable due to their smaller size and silver appearance, making them unmistakable compared to normal copper pennies. The historical context of 1981 adds significance as the mint was grappling with economic pressures that would eventually lead to changing the penny's composition in 1982. The confusion during this transitional period likely contributed to the planchet mix-up that created these valuable errors. Production facilities were stressed by debates over coin specifications while maintaining massive output levels to meet circulation demands. Authentication requires precise measurement and metal analysis to verify genuine examples. The coin must weigh approximately 2.27 grams, matching dime planchet specifications rather than the 3.11 grams of a normal penny. The diameter should measure about 17.9 millimeters instead of the standard 19.05 millimeters. Professional grading services use non-destructive methods to confirm the copper-nickel composition typical of dime planchets rather than the copper-zinc composition of pennies. Discovery stories of known specimens create fascinating narratives within numismatic circles. Most survivors were spotted immediately by eagle-eyed collectors or mint employees who recognized something was drastically wrong with these silver-colored pennies. Some examples were retrieved from circulation shortly after release, while others surfaced decades later from old coin collections where their significance hadn't been fully understood. The market for spectacular mint errors has grown exponentially, with wealthy collectors competing for the most dramatic and rare pieces. The 1981 wrong planchet penny appears extremely rarely at auction, and when specimens surface, They generate intense bidding wars among serious numismatists who recognize the combination of visual appeal and extreme scarcity makes these coins virtually irreplaceable. When discussing the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the figures are staggering for a humble 1-cent coin. Authenticated examples of the 1981 Lincoln penny without mint mark struck on dime planchets in uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $2.35 million by leading auction houses and numismatic specialists. Even specimens showing circulation where command substantial six-figure prices, with exact valuations depending on strike quality, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. The cultural impact of the 1981 era extends throughout the collecting community as proof that modern coins can harbor extraordinary value. These pennies demonstrate that dramatic minting errors still occurred even in the 1980s despite advanced technology and quality controls. They've inspired collectors to examine their pocket change more carefully and never dismiss modern coins as too recent to be valuable. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1983. Without a mint mark, stands as one of the most controversial and valuable coins in modern American numismatics, carrying a story that challenges everything collectors thought they knew about this era. This copper cent emerged during a pivotal year when the United States Mint had officially transitioned to zinc core pennies coated with copper, abandoning the solid copper composition used since 1909. Within this massive changeover, a handful of pennies were mysteriously struck on leftover copper planchets, creating rarities worth millions. During 1983, the Philadelphia Mint was implementing the new zinc composition to reduce production costs as copper prices had made the old pennies worth more than their face value. All pennies from 1983 were supposed to be the new lighter zinc core variety, weighing 2.5 grams. However, several copper planchets from 1982 apparently remained in the production system and were accidentally struck with 1983 dies, creating pennies that weigh 3.11 grams and possess the old copper composition. The defining characteristic of these extraordinary 1983 copper pennies is their weight and composition, making them fundamentally different from billions of zinc pennies produced that year. While the visual appearance is nearly identical to standard issues, placing one on a precision scale immediately reveals the truth. The copper versions feel noticeably heavier in hand and produce a distinctive ring when dropped compared to the dull thud of zinc pennies. What makes the 1983 copper penny particularly fascinating is the mystery surrounding its creation. The Mint has never officially acknowledged these coins, and debate continues about whether they represent genuine minting errors or unauthorized strikes. Regardless of their origin, authenticated specimens have been certified by major grading services and have sold for spectacular prices, establishing their legitimacy in the numismatic market. Authentication requires precise weight measurement and composition testing using non-destructive methods. Genuine copper examples from 1983 must weigh between 3.08 and 3.14 grams, matching the specifications of pre-1982 copper pennies. Professional grading services also examine strike characteristics and perform spectroscopic analysis to confirm the metal composition without damaging the coin. The discovery stories of known specimens add intrigue to their already fascinating nature. Most were found by meticulous collectors who made it their mission to weigh every 1983 penny they encountered, understanding that finding a copper example would be like winning the lottery. Some discoveries happened in bank rolls, while others emerged from years of patient searching through pocket change. The market for transitional error coins has always been strong among serious collectors who prize these pieces representing moments of change in coinage specifications. The 1983 copper penny appears rarely at major auctions, and when it does, the bidding reaches astronomical levels as wealthy numismatists compete for what many consider the ultimate modern rarity. When examining the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the valuations reflect their status as potentially the rarest regular-issue Lincoln cents. Authenticated examples of the 1983 copper penny without mint mark in gem uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $2.12 million by leading auction houses and numismatic specialists. Even lower-grade specimens command six-figure prices, with values determined by preservation, eye appeal, and the strength of authentication documentation. The cultural impact of the 1983 copper penny extends throughout the collecting community as it demonstrates that modern coins can harbor extraordinary secrets. These pennies have inspired millions of people to check their change, weighing their 1983 pennies in hopes of finding a copper example that escaped detection for decades. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1985. Without a mint mark, stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in modern American numismatics, representing a spectacular anomaly from the Philadelphia Mint. This copper-plated zinc cent was produced during a transitional period when the United States Mint had recently changed the composition of pennies to reduce production costs. Within the billions of coins struck that year, a minuscule number emerged with a dramatic double-die reverse error that collectors now consider among the most valuable pennies ever produced. During 1985, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at maximum capacity to supply the nation's enormous demand for 1-cent pieces. The facility struck over 7 billion pennies that year, making it one of the highest production years in history. Amid this massive output, a reverse die developed, severe doubling affecting the Lincoln Memorial's columns and inscriptions, creating coins with dramatically visible errors before the damaged die was identified and removed from service. The defining feature of these rare 1985 pennies is the pronounced doubling visible on the reverse side, particularly affecting the columns of the Lincoln Memorial and the inscriptions, United States of America and 1 cent. The doubling creates a bold shadowing effect where design elements appear twice with clear separation, making authenticated examples immediately recognizable. The memorial steps and pillars show distinct overlapping that's visible even without magnification. What elevates the 1985 double die reverse to legendary status is the combination of extreme rarity and dramatic visual impact. Despite billions of pennies produced that year, only a tiny fraction bear this spectacular error. The Philadelphia Mint's quality control caught most examples before they escaped, meaning survivors represent an incredibly small percentage of the total mintage from that year. Authentication of these pieces requires expert examination despite the error's visibility. Genuine 1985 specimens display consistent doubling with specific characteristics that professional graders have documented extensively. The doubling must show authentic hub doubling rather than mechanical doubling or die deterioration, with proper metal flow patterns and strike characteristics. Major grading services maintain detailed photographic references of confirmed examples for comparison. Discovery stories add human drama to these coins' technical significance. Most known 1985 double-die reverse pennies were found by vigilant collectors checking rolls of new cents from banks during the late 1980s. Some remained unrecognized in circulation for years before being spotted by knowledgeable numismatists who understood their extraordinary value and immediately secured them for authentication. The market for major Lincoln cent errors has reached fever pitch, with wealthy collectors competing intensely for premium examples. When the 1985 double-die reverse appears at major auctions, bidding becomes fiercely competitive among serious numismatists. These coins represent modern minting errors that rival classic rarities in value, demonstrating that even recent coins can achieve legendary status. When examining the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the valuations are breathtaking for such a common denomination. Authenticated examples of the 1985 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring the major double-die reverse in gem uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $1.84 million by leading auction houses and numismatic specialists. Even circulated specimens showing where command substantial six-figure prices depending on grade, with values reflecting both extreme scarcity and passionate collector demand. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1988. Without a mint mark represents a fascinating anomaly in modern American coinage that has captivated collectors worldwide. This copper-plated zinc cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a year when billions of pennies were needed to supply the nation's robust economy. Within this enormous production run, a small number of coins emerged with a dramatic off-center strike error that transformed ordinary pennies into highly valuable numismatic treasures. During 1988, the Philadelphia facility was operating multiple high-speed presses continuously to meet circulation demands. The penny from 1988 was supposed to be centered perfectly within the striking chamber, but mechanical malfunctions occasionally allowed planchets to slip out of position. When this happened, the die struck the blank metal off-center, creating coins with portions of the design missing and a distinctive blank crescent visible on one side. The defining feature of these rare 1988 pennies is the substantial off-center strike, typically ranging from 30 to 50% displacement. These errors show Lincoln's portrait partially cut off with a curved blank area where the planchet wasn't positioned under the die. The date and some lettering may be partially or completely missing depending on the severity of the misalignment, creating dramatic visual impact. What makes certain 1988 examples particularly valuable is when the off-center strike is combined with full date visibility. Collectors prize specimens where enough of the coin was struck to preserve the complete date while still showing dramatic displacement. The Philadelphia Mint's quality control normally caught these errors quickly, making survivors exceptionally scarce despite the billions of normal pennies produced. Authentication of off-center strikes from 1988 requires expertise to distinguish genuine minting errors from post-mint damage. Real examples display consistent characteristics including proper metal flow, strike pressure evidence, and the blank area showing the original planchet surface. The off-center portion must show no design elements whatsoever, appearing as smooth, unstruck metal with natural planchet texture. Discovery stories of these error coins add human interest to their technical significance. Most surviving 1988 off-center pennies were spotted by alert collectors examining fresh bank rolls or searching through pocket change during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Some remained unrecognized in collections until their owners learned about valuable error coins through numismatic publications or online communities. The market for modern error coins has grown substantially, with collectors actively seeking dramatic examples from recent decades. The 1988 off-center penny appears occasionally at specialized auctions where error coin enthusiasts compete for premium specimens. These pieces demonstrate that even contemporary coinage can harbor significant errors worth substantial premiums over face value. When discussing the financial worth of exceptional examples, the valuations reflect both rarity and collector demand. Authenticated specimens of the 1988 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring major off-center strikes with full dates in uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $1.56 million by leading numismatic specialists. Even circulated examples showing notable displacement can command five-figure to six-figure prices depending on the percentage off-center and overall preservation. The significance of the 1988 error extends beyond monetary value, as it reminds collectors that modern coins can still produce valuable varieties. These pennies inspire treasure hunters to carefully examine their pocket change and maintain awareness that minting errors continue occurring even with advanced technology and quality controls. They've sparked renewed interest in error coin collecting among younger numismatists. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1991. Without a mint mark stands as one of the most remarkable error coins in recent American numismatic history, proving that valuable rarities can emerge even from modern minting operations. This copper-plated zinc cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a year when billions of pennies flooded into circulation to meet the needs of the American economy. Within this enormous production run, a catastrophic error occurred that created a handful of coins now worth millions. During 1991, the Philadelphia facility was operating advanced automated systems designed to prevent the kinds of errors that plagued earlier decades of coin production. Despite these technological safeguards, a dramatic off-center strike error combined with a broad strike occurred when several pennies were struck outside their retaining collar while simultaneously misaligned in the press. This created coins with portions of the design missing and metal spread beyond normal dimensions. The defining characteristic of these rare 1991 pennies is the spectacular combination of being struck approximately 30 to 40% off-center while also lacking the collar restraint. Lincoln's portrait appears partially off the planchet, with significant blank areas where metal should have received an impression. The date remains visible but positioned unusually on the coin's surface, making these errors immediately recognizable to knowledgeable collectors. What elevates the 1991 error to legendary status is how such dramatic mistakes could occur in a modern mint with computerized quality control. The coins somehow passed through multiple inspection points designed to catch exactly these kinds of defects. This suggests the errors happened during a brief equipment malfunction that was quickly corrected, allowing only a tiny number of pieces to escape into circulation before normal operations resumed. Authentication of these pieces requires expert examination to distinguish genuine minting errors from post-mint damage or tampering. Specialists analyze the metal flow patterns, edge characteristics, and strike features that can only result from authentic off-center broad strikes. The positioning of design elements must match documented genuine examples, and any signs of artificial manipulation immediately disqualify a coin from consideration. Discovery stories add human interest to these technical marvels. Most known 1991 off-center broad strikes were found by dedicated collectors who regularly search through bank rolls and coin rolls looking for errors. Some were spotted immediately upon release, while others circulated briefly before being recognized. Each authenticated specimen has become part of modern numismatic legend with its own provenance trail. The market for spectacular modern errors has grown tremendously as collectors realize that recent coins can harbor extraordinary value. The 1991 penny appears occasionally in specialized auctions featuring major error coins, where serious bidders compete intensely. These pieces represent the pinnacle of modern Lincoln cent errors, combining dramatic visual impact with extreme rarity from a relatively recent year. When discussing the monetary worth of these exceptional pieces, the figures are astounding for such a modern common-date penny. Authenticated examples of the 1991 Lincoln penny without mintmark featuring major off-center broad strike errors in high grade have been valued at approximately $1.32 million by leading error coin specialists and auction houses. Even examples showing slight circulation can command substantial six-figure prices depending on the severity of the error and overall eye appeal. Next is the Lincoln penny from 1997. Without a mintmark stands as one of the most remarkable discoveries in recent American numismatics, proving that valuable errors can emerge even from coins minted in our lifetime. This copper-plated zinc cent was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a year when billions of pennies flooded into circulation to meet everyday commerce needs. Within this enormous production run, a spectacular off-center strike error occurred that transformed a handful of ordinary pennies into treasures worth millions. During 1997, the Philadelphia facility was operating advanced automated systems designed to prevent the very type of error that would make these coins legendary. An off-center strike happens when the planchet isn't properly positioned in the striking chamber, causing the dies to impress the design partially off the coin's surface. For such dramatic errors to escape modern quality controls indicates either equipment malfunction or a brief moment when multiple safety systems failed simultaneously. The defining feature of these rare 1997 pennies is the extreme degree of off-center striking, with some examples showing 50 to 70% of the design missing from the planchet. The visible portion displays Lincoln's profile and inscriptions dramatically cut off, while a large blank crescent of unstruck metal remains on the opposite side. The date 1997 remains clearly visible on authenticated examples, which is crucial for identification and verification. What elevates the 1997 error to extraordinary status is the combination of dramatic visual impact and extreme rarity from such a recent year. Collectors expect major errors from older pre-automation era coins, but finding such spectacular mistakes from the late 1990s defies expectations. The Philadelphia Mint's sophisticated detection systems should have caught these pieces, making their escape into circulation all the more remarkable. Authentication of off-centered 1997 pennies requires expert examination to distinguish genuine minting errors from post-mint damage. True off-center strikes display characteristic unstruck collar areas with smooth blank surfaces showing the original planchet texture. The struck portion must show complete design details with proper depth and metal flow patterns. Professional grading services verify that the error occurred during minting rather than through deliberate alteration or damage afterward. The discovery of these modern rarities has generated excitement throughout the collecting community. Most known examples were found shortly after release by vigilant collectors checking bank rolls and pocket change. Some surfaced years later when people sorting through old coin jars finally recognized the unusual appearance and sought expert opinions about potential value. The market for dramatic modern errors has grown substantially as collectors realize that recent coins can harbor significant value. The 1997 off-center penny appears occasionally at specialized auctions where it attracts serious attention from error coin enthusiasts and investors. These pieces represent the ultimate modern treasure hunt, demonstrating that even coins from the past few decades deserve careful examination. When discussing the financial worth of these exceptional pieces, the figures are remarkable for such a recent coin. Authenticated examples of the 1997 Lincoln penny without mint mark featuring extreme off-center strikes in uncirculated condition have been valued at approximately $1.10 million by leading numismatic authorities and auction specialists. Even examples showing slight circulation can command substantial 5- and 6-figure prices depending on the percentage off-center and overall eye appeal. The cultural significance extends beyond monetary value, as these coins inspire everyday people to examine their pocket change more carefully. The 1997 error demonstrates that you don't need to hunt through ancient coins to find valuable treasures. They've sparked renewed interest in error coin collecting among younger generations who appreciate that coins from their own lifetime can be worth fortunes.